Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm Jim. Over to my left is, of course, Sean, and in the box below, Amedeus. Boys, good to see you. Happy Wednesday. We're only 5 days away from the Super Bowl as they count it down.
Yeah, it's getting close.
Yep. Do you guys do you do Super Bowl parties? Is that something? Is that still a thing? What is it?
I mean, when I'm here, I go. My buddy Lance has it.
Well, you'll be in England, right?
Yeah, I'll be in England. I'll go into the Leeds game, Leeds and Manchester United game that day, and then I'll be back in England, back in London, probably around like 9 o'clock. So
You'll still have time.
4 hours, 3 hours before the game. So yeah. It's interesting. I mean, we do stuff here. I mean, I've always gone to parties or just kind of stayed at home. But I used to go to my buddy Amaro's friend Rob's house. He had one. We went there like 3 or 4 years in a row, and then I've been to Lance's. So I won't be there obviously, but maybe other people will be. So.
How about you, Amedeus? Are you a party animal?
Yeah, when I was really young, like before high school times, my buddy would throw one every year because it was mainly his dad that was throwing the Super Bowl party, right? He'd have his buddies over. And then obviously my friend would have a few friends over and we'd watch the game. But yeah, I mean, as I got into high school, I started throwing the Super Bowl parties every year, and then now all my friends have moved away, so we'll see. Yeah, they're all in the States now or whatnot, whatever. Moved to cities like 3 hours away. So
I lived next to an Eagles bar in 2018.
Oh my God!
In Super Bowl 52, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna come?" Nah, I'm going to. We went to a party. And then by the time I got home, we had missed basically. I'm glad. It was apparently out of control. So sure it's going to be like that this year as well. So I want no part of that. I'm not in. Everyone around me is Eagles fans, but I'm not. So
you're a big Broncos guy.
Sean Payton.
Yeah, whatever. He doesn't even want to be there.
He's taking the money.
I like how already though he's like, yeah, Russell, you're not having any personal coaches. What is this crap?
Right.
Oh,
20 years old.
All that stuff is like, it drives me nuts, man. Like, just like that's how this sport is, man. Not just football. I mean, it's just Ronaldo's guys don't like. It's
almost like a brand coach.
Kills the locker room, man. You're just like. You got one guy on $600,000 a week or whatever, these guys are making, and you got this guy hanging out. Like you're not hanging out as part of the guys and all that stuff. So,
well, the other thing too, and because I'm older than dirt, I can remember when they didn't have when professional sports was such that if you wanted to talk to somebody, you walked up to their locker afterwards, and they either talked to you or they didn't, but the accessibility was there. And that's not the case anymore. You go into any NFL, Major League Baseball, wherever it is, and if the guy doesn't want to talk to you, he tells the PR people, and the PR people don't let you anywhere near them. So that, the old days of walking up and talking to somebody, that just doesn't happen. And most of these guys want to get their information out and control their own, media by using Twitter, or they use Instagram. Tom Brady retired on Instagram. That was everybody's showing the video from Instagram.
Yeah, we'll see about that, Jim, because then he comes out and says, I'm starting my Fox career in the fall of 2024. That's very convenient how we're leaving a season gap in between.
He's got a deal for 2 more movies. He's at 80 with Brady, and he's got 2 more deals that are going to pop up here in a minute.
Hey, Amadeus, just quickly, how about your Flamingo?
Oh, man.
How terrible is that?
What was that? What was that red card and penalty? Like how? Like I'm a firm believer that if you're gonna give both, it has to be very
Egregious. Yeah.
Exactly right. Like
Well, it was his second yellow.
One or the other. Oh, was it a second yellow?
He got a yellow card in the 15th minute. They Barbosa got one in the 17th minute. Bless you. And then David, they got Flamengo got 4 yellow cards in the first half, 7 on the game.
Yeah, classic South American team.
Yep. So so Al Hilal will be in the final, and it could be, supposedly if they play Al Ahly plays Real Madrid. So if Real Madrid, loses that game, Carlo could be gone.
What happened to Seattle? Did they get kicked out already?
Yeah, they lost 1-0 in the 86th minute to Al Ahly.
Oh, really? Okay. I was wondering why I didn't see that. I must have missed
Al
that.
Ahly versus Al Hilal, which I just neither of them, like Al Hilal is Saudi Arabia, so I guess they won the Asian one, but Al Ahly didn't win because I watched.
Yeah, I was going to say, why are they both there? Like, I thought it was supposed to be.
Well, what do you call it? Was there? Wydad was there because Wydad won Africa. Like Al Hilal, I don't know why is there.
That's what I mean. Like Wydad makes sense. I think even Auckland was there, right? But that was New Zealand, so that kind of makes sense because you could consider that another. Yeah, you could consider that a continent, obviously.
Right.
And then. Like I get obviously, Seattle's CONCACAF, Flamengo's CONMEBOL, and I know Al Hilal won the Asian one. I think it's called the AFC or something like that. Right? The AFC Champions League.
Eastern Europe, Eastern Asia.
I'm confused where this other team came from. I'm like extremely confused.
They just parachuted in. They paid the entry fee.
Is it because there's like an odd number of continents? I mean, we don't really count Antarctica, so
it's like a college bowl game. You get invited.
FC Penguin, they didn't invite FC Penguin. So
damn it, that would have been good.
Yeah, there's a couple of there's I guess there's a bunch of news stories yesterday, huh?
Yeah, so Rashford was trending on my Twitter.
Right, because he's the Pele incarnate.
So Rashford, man, I don't know. I was wondering why when I went to go read it. It was like a bunch of people were like, "This must be Chelsea fans trying to
figure out where he should
buy him up."
Yeah, they're trying to figure out. No one's buying any Manchester United players now. That we're the second richest team in the world. But
I told you, man, you don't need Wout Weghorst. You throw Rashford in that spot, let Garnacho do his thing down the left, and you guys are fine.
Yeah. It's also yesterday quite a few stories about Man City and what what's coming to them. They stepped right up close to saying it was almost like jail time was coming next.
That
yesterday, and you, when I said, well, would they relegate them? And Sean, you said that's a possibility.
It could, they relegated Juventus, and this team is they've been cheating like crazy, and everybody call but once again, I have to this thing that came out was only until 2018,
right? So
they still have to go through 2018 to 2023. Like those charges haven't even come out, because if they were getting away with cheating for this long, of course they're going to keep cheating. So though they're still going to be, they might get another 100 charges on them. So they just it's they'll be relegated to the history books as with the asterisks and all this stuff. So it is what it is. I mean, everybody everybody that follows it knows that's what was happening for so long. So
yeah, it's been a long time coming. That's for sure.
We could drag up the 1970s song. It's been a long
we never went live.
What? It says end broadcast.
No, it says go live at the top, doesn't it?
No, it says in broadcast.
Oh,
Yeah, I got. We've been live for 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
10 minutes and 40
Mike
seconds.
says go live. I don't know what's going on, man.
Technical difficulties for
my,
Sean.
yeah.
Well, you're
This-
talking to us.
It says scheduled, man. This is brutal. I don't understand what's going on with this stuff, man. My StreamYard's been wacky for 2 days. I couldn't even get on my computer yesterday.
Yeah, your name says Capital Sports Network too. You don't even have your name there in the title.
Right.
Yeah, this thing, man.
It's the StreamYard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean we got 2 out of 3 saying the live is working, so I think it's okay.
I gotta change my thing, man. I can't be this. I gotta be my name.
No, you are Capital Sports Network. You're the
right.
embodiment, John.
Yeah.
You're the man.
Physical manifestation of the company.
Right.
Yeah, so I had to go on my phone yesterday. It wasn't letting me go on. So I don't know what to do.
Well, maybe what we'll do afterwards is make sure that somehow, some way, we get that fixed for you. So no, you've been live. Thank God you haven't said anything.
Oh,
There's Bill. Bill sees us.
Hey, Bill.
morning, guys. Do you know anything about Sunderland? Yeah, they have Ahmad who's tearing it up. Look, hopefully, I know. I think you won on Burnley yesterday, Bill. So good play there. Sunderland's, they're a tough team at home. Fulham obviously is a better team. I mean, you'd think Fulham is going to probably play a full strength lineup. I just, once again, I would caution you to check that. Some of the games yesterday were a little bit crazy. I think some of those teams didn't necessarily play starters. I know Wrexham didn't from the beginning, so they ended up making a game of it, but really could have won the game. Missed a penalty there, but Fulham plays Nottingham Forest on Saturday at home, so maybe they don't go full strength. Maybe they think they could beat Southampton or Sunderland not at full strength. So we'll see, but it's probably a decent play there.
One thing I'll say about this Fulham team is they've really done a 180 since the World Cup. Going into the break, they were such a high scoring team. They almost basically going into the World Cup, they had almost gone over in every single Premier League match this year. And, ever since coming back from the World Cup break, their defense has been lights out. They're not giving up goals. And even in those few games that they lost, like they lost to Newcastle with a late 90-minute goal to lose 1-0, right? They lost, I think, to Tottenham 1-0. But yeah, this is a Fulham team that's been playing great defense. So if anything, I think Sunderland probably struggles to score in the match, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not big on cup matches.
Yeah, and the other match today is obviously, I mean, there's other games. I mean, obviously, Al Ahly plays Real Madrid. That line is too high for me,
yeah,
especially with the players that aren't playing for Real Madrid. Manchester United's at home. They've only lost one game since August at home. That was when the referees kind of cheated them in that Real Sociedad match. They're minus 205 today, so -1 Asian handicap is probably. The interesting game to me today is PSG Marseille. I know you don't like cup matches. I think this.
I was gonna say, how did I miss that one in Ligue 1?
Yeah, it's Coupe de France.
No wonder I missed it.
So Marseille is at plus 205. No Neymar, no Mbappe. PSG's plus 117. The winner of this, I mean, you look at some of these other teams that are, Angers plays Nantes, Auxerre plays Rodez, Lyon, Paris against Annecy, Toulouse, Reims, Vierzon, Grenoble, Marseille, PSG. Of all these teams, Laurent lost. The winner of this game is the team that's going to be the favorite after this. So, I like Marseille a little bit here. at plus 205 without those. I know they'll probably, PSG maybe rotates a little bit. They have the Champions League game next week. I'm sure they don't want to get, Ikatike injured before this. If I was them, I'd be wrapping him and Messi and Wool right now until that game on Wednesday next week. I wouldn't, if Mbappe is a doubt for that game, which he is, and I don't know what the deal is with Neymar. I would wrap these guys in steel wool. I'm not real worried about that. I think there's a chance here with what's happening with Manchester City. I think there's a chance for PSG to really kind of win a Champions League. There's City could implode with all this stuff. I mean, it's just going to be impossible. The other thing is they could just say screw you and go just go on a rampage and win everything. But it doesn't matter. It'll get taken away anyway. So they could rest players. Marseille's at home. They're playing well. They're up to second in the league. I think this is a spot to take Marseille or Marseille and draw. Or Marseille draw no bet, which is like plus 140. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Marseille's a really good team. I think Marseille. And
they're on fire.
They're actually going to be at home for this one, right?
Yeah. They've also been consistent.
Yeah, they're probably going to be pissed off, too. They're coming off a loss to Nice in their last one. But that one, I think, is just chalked up to Nice playing a lot better lately. So, I think Marseille is definitely the way to play. Like you said, PSG, they should really be resting players here. You have a huge match against Bayern Munich next week in the Champions League. Already, Mbappe's probably going to miss that first leg. And that's their home leg too, right? The first one. So,
yeah,
that's a huge loss, man. You need to go out there and make sure you take a lead going into Germany. So I think at this point, all eyes should probably be focused on that match next week for PSG. Not to mention, I don't know, they probably, knowing France, they have a league match on Saturday or something like that.
Yeah, right in the middle of it.
Because I know that's what they do. They have everything on Wednesday and then everything again on Sunday. So
they have PSG and Monaco both play Saturday. PSG plays Monaco Saturday.
That's another big one. Monaco's a good team.
And Marseille plays Clermont Foot. So both of the teams that are playing in Europe next week play early. Right now, Monaco is 2 points behind Lens in fourth for the that third Champions League spot. Marseille jumped ahead of Lens on goal difference. They're 8 points back of PSG. I don't think anyone's going to catch PSG, although stranger things have happened. But the other
PSG implodes.
Yeah, we were talking about the Bundesliga table. I don't know if you've looked at this, Amedeus, but
Bayern's imploding slowly.
Over the weekend, there was a team other than Bayern Munich at the top of the Bundesliga, which Union Berlin was there
for about 48 hours.
Yeah, for a little bit, but
for a slight 20-minute window, then Bayern's took the lead there.
Logically here, if Bayern is, there's all this stuff coming out about Neuer now, and that's a disaster, and all this, with the coaching and the coaches and the everything, and Dortmund's there on 37 points, Leipzig's 36, Frankfurt 35, Freiburg 34. So first to sixth separated by 6 points. If I would say the winner, if PSG gets through, Bayern Munich probably wins that league because they're not going to be playing for anything else. If Munich gets through, PSG probably wins the league pretty easily, and maybe the Bundesliga gets a little sketchy.
Can't be taking 2 months off. This is why we can't be taking 2 months off and then expect to run like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a joke.
It ain't gonna happen.
It's a joke. And then they come back and it's like they bombard you with, league matches every weekend and then cup matches every midweek.
There you go.
It's like, what are we doing?
Let's welcome our guest here. Evan Wiener. Evan, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jim. Good to see, actually, because I have the torn retina,
Oh, jeez.
so it's almost repaired.
So, yes, Evan
How
is
you
an
doing?
expert in the business of sports. He lectures all over the country about it, and also has the distinction of spending, what was it, 17 years with Madden, or how many years?
15.
15 years with Madden.
15. He does. He still. He never knew my first name, and I never knew his first name. But if you were in that crowd, nobody used first names.
It was Wiener and it was Madden. So.
And Visser and except for Pat
Okay.
Summerall, except for Pat, but it was the Bagel Boy, and that's another story about the Bagel Boy.
Yeah, that was Sandy.
Andy Montag,
the super agent, and
yes.
And he got
who used to shop at Costco to save money, because I saw him there a few times.
So anyway, guys, Evan's here. We've got the Super Bowl coming up. We talked about, Evan's also a football historian, and it's always fun to talk about the Super Bowl. But it's also the inside behind the story. Let's talk for a second, Evan, from your standpoint. Talk about the origin of the Super Bowl. I mean, we both know the story that our good friend, the late great from NFL Films,
Steve Sabo,
told us, Amedeus, that he, after they won the Ice Bowl, after they beat Dallas to go to the first Super Bowl, Ed and the Sable boys walked back to Vince Lombardi's house, and they had lunch, and Lombardi was showing a putter that he got for Christmas, and the whole time he's bitching about the fact that he does not want to go to Los Angeles to play in this stupid game against the stupid AFL, and why are they doing it? The Packers are the champions. Why are we even doing this? So it wasn't in the first Super Bowl, wasn't even close to sold out in Los Angeles.
But the whole being that this is Black History Month as well.
Yeah.
The whole Super Bowl has a whole history that's never explored. In fact, I gave this talk yesterday about. Let's go back to. Well, let's start with Elgin Baylor in 1959. He's playing for the Minneapolis Lakers, and there's a game against Cincinnati. But back in those days, the NBA, wherever you laid down the court, threw money on the table, you could find two teams that will play. And they played, the Lakers and Royals played in Charlottetown, West Virginia, which was a segregated town. And Baylor didn't play. He said, I love playing basketball, but not at my dignity. He struck because he couldn't stay at the hotel, couldn't stay at the same restaurant. That's the first sit-down strike, I suppose, in sports over racial issues. And 2 years later, this is where it really starts for the NFL, AFL, and you could actually link the Super Bowl back to this. Walter Beach, who ended up defending Muhammad Ali in 1968 with Jimmy Brown and was an activist, and we have a thing in common. He went to Central Michigan University, and I spoke there. Mm-hmm. And he's with the Boston Patriots. The AFL is looking to explore the New Orleans market with an eye on maybe moving Oakland into New Orleans. And Beach gets down there. Before he gets down there, he tells his owner, Billy Sullivan, in the Patriots hierarchy, he said, listen, I want to be treated like everybody else on the team, as do my Negro teammates. And we don't want to be segregated. We don't want this Jim Crow stuff. We're all part of this team. And the Patriots basically fire him on the spot. Shelley Saltman, by the way, Jim, had some shares of Billy Sullivan stock in those days, because I know he's listening to us right now, wherever he is, whatever time zone. So Beach strikes. And the Patriots said, "You're out of here." The good thing about him, they cut him, is he ended up with Cleveland with the championship team with the Browns in '64. Then you got 1963. There are 6 Oakland Raiders. And Al Davis, this is the first big test of his career. There were 6 Oakland Raiders: Freddie the Hammer Williamson, Clement Daniels, and Art Powell. They tell Al, "We're not playing in Mobile, Alabama in the preseason game against the Jets." And Al backed them. That was the first test of Al as a coach, whether or not these guys, he was going to support these guys or not. He ended up doing it. And that game was never played in Mobile, Alabama, and it was moved back to Oakland. So here it is, 1965, and you got already this civil rights litany, particularly in New Orleans. And the AFL decides, we're going to New Orleans. We're going to have an expansion team there for 65 or 66. Dave Dixon, who founded the USFL, was going to have that team. And all the black players were told, oh, they're going to welcome you with open arms. And Jim Crow is gone. Civil Rights Act was passed. It's going to be great. New Orleans is going to get a team. Well, Abner Haynes, who's a friend of mine, was on the AFL team. And he told me it was name, rank, and serial number. Abner Haynes, running back, Kansas City Chiefs, member of the AFL All-Star team. And so they get there. Everything is assured. It's going to be great. And they get to the hotel, and the white players all got cabs right at the airport. The white players all got cabs down to the hotel, 2 hotels, the Roosevelt and Fontainebleau. And the black players were left stranded behind, except for one, Cookie Gilchrist, who hitched a ride with Jack Kemp, who was the executive director of the American Football League Players Association and the quarterback of Buffalo, where Gilchrist was playing. Finally, there were a bunch of calls to Kemp. Kemp calls Bud Adams, who's the co-founder of the AFL, Houston Oilers owner. And they call the governor, they call the mayor, say, hey, what's going on here? He said, everything's going to be cool. We got players hanging out there. What's going on? And if you ever saw Color TV Football, AFL story, which I think Sabos didn't they?
Yeah, he did.
And you got a quote there, we're going to send out the color cab for the colored players. So the players get there. They get to the hotel. And Abner told me the story. So he checks into the hotel with David Grayson. And everything's fine checking in, but they go to get the elevator. It's old hand-cranked elevator with a gate and all that other stuff. And they open, and the person inside opens the door. And Abner's telling me it's an older white woman. And she looks at David Grayson and Abner Haynes and says, hey, monkeys, what are you doing here? Okay, get in the back, you monkeys. Finally, the black player said, we've had enough. Ernie Ladd tried to go to the Playboy Club and had a gun pulled on him by a bouncer. So they fled. Earl Faison, Dick Westmoreland. So they're all in this meeting. And Kemp told me, he said to the guys, he said, listen, whatever you decide, we have your back. If you don't want to play, that's fine. And I'll tell Bud Adams. And they said, we're not playing. And they pull the game from New Orleans, put it into Houston. And New Orleans all of a sudden doesn't have a football team, and they're supposed to. The leagues merge, but you can't merge without congressional support. And Louisiana becomes a major problem for the NFL because they want this championship game. They want the leagues merged. They see money in it. And Russell Long, who's a senator from Louisiana, 5th most powerful Democrat in the Senate that year, and Hale Boggs, Congressman Hale Boggs, Cokie Roberts' father. Pete Rozelle, the commissioner, and the commissioner's job basically is to be a lobbyist. That's what one of his roles is, a registered lobbyist. Goes down to Washington and talks to Long and Boggs. He says, can I count on your support? No can do. Doesn't do anything for New Orleans. And Boggs and Long have a block of votes that are ready to go against it because New Orleans didn't have a team. So push comes to shove. The league wanted to get it done, and they came up with a plan to get New Orleans a team because they weren't expanding. Rozelle said, we have too many teams right now and not enough players. So he says, we'll move the Jets because they have Namath. and he's charismatic, we'll move the Jets to Los Angeles, and it won't make a difference for Joe. He'll still get the endorsement money, he'll get fame, and he wants to be an actor. It works out. And the boss of the Jets, or the owner of the Jets, Sonny Werblin, even though he was a Jersey Shore guy, he was Johnny Carson's PR person and Liz Taylor's PR person, and he worked for Lou Wasserman over at MCA TV. I know you don't know what MCA TV was, but back in the day, it used to provide TV.
And we only have an hour, so could you?
Okay.
Get
So anyway, so the Jets are going to go to LA. The Rams go to San Diego. San Diego, owned by Barron Hilton, to New Orleans. He's got the hotels in New Orleans, and that's good. And then we'll move Oakland to Portland or Seattle. 24 teams in 24 cities. Manuel Seller, the congressman from Brooklyn, says, no, I'm not going to do it. And the NFL is forced to expand to New Orleans. So the NFL traded an expansion franchise in exchange for X amount of votes to merge the leagues and to form the Super Bowl. And that's how the Super Bowl was formed.
All right. We've been talking a lot about expansions,
yeah,
and changes and ownership changes, Sean is a big Manchester United fan. They're now up for sale. What's going on with the sales of teams in Europe being bought by people from the U.S.?
That's been going on for a long time, because the English league was undervalued, so they said. And so you got Tom Hicks was involved for a while. The guy not Di Bartolo. He wasn't involved, but you had a whole bunch of guys, Kroenke, who looked at this opportunity because the English Premiership, the teams seemingly were undervalued. They went in there, bargain price, and now they're cashing out at the biggest price that they could get. And the Glazers probably, I don't know how many billions they're going to get, and I don't know how much money they put in, but it was probably about a fifth as much.
They didn't. They leveraged. They did leverage debt to get in, so they didn't. They're going to get $6 billion out of the deal. Yeah. They just bought a second team yesterday as well.
Yeah, so they found undervalued properties and they pounced on it.
Yeah, Josh Harris from the Sixers owner is an investor in Crystal Palace. Kroenke owns Arsenal. John Henry owns FSG.
Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool, and we don't talk a lot about that team on the show. But I think there was, and now I think the it looks like it's shifting towards Middle Eastern, Qatar and Dubai, and same thing. Maybe trying to find some value. Obviously, the Premier League is the biggest, the TV deal and all that stuff. So it's probably still a little bit even undervalued at the moment. So it's interesting.
And Manchester United, of course, is one of the biggest brands globally.
Yeah,
so it's worth a lot of money. Maybe worth more than the Dallas Cowboys.
They are by about $2 billion.
Yeah,
and so it is what it is from that standpoint. What else was I going to ask? Any questions, guys?
I mean, just what do you think about this? Obviously, I wrote a story the other day about how the Super Bowl. It's weird. It's become almost like the gambling wise. Now people are betting on which song Rihanna is going to sing first, and it's the commercial. Obviously the commercials are crazy money to get a 30-second. It's almost
7 million.
Yeah, people are more, about, the end of the halftime. There's so many people that actually watch the game. They don't even care about the game now. It's become like this, it's just become massive. I mean, how did you ever think you'd see something like that when it wasn't, always just about the game, but about like the Gatorade and all this other stuff?
Well, I knew in the early 1980s, mid 1980s, I had an assignment. I had to go to Smith & Walensky's, and which isn't a bad assignment, right? So when you start Smith and Walensky's, and the NFL wasn't telling us about what they were going to announce. Well, they did the 30 greatest commercials, football commercials related to the Super Bowl. And you could see in the mid 1980s the transition. We're going to push the commercials. Michael Jackson's going to do the halftime show. No more Up with People. And what they wanted to do, there are X amount of football fans. They're just X amount of football fans, and you want to go beyond that base for this particular event, which was becoming the #1 sports event in America. And they made the decision that the way we're going to do it is Michael Jackson, the halftime show. Whitney Houston did the 1991 national anthem, which, by the way, was not live. It was on tape. And they started.
I directed that.
You directed that. So that must have been really great seeing that lip syncing.
I did the halftime Super Bowl halftimes for 10 years.
Yeah. So, but they made that conscious decision to, we can make a lot more money. But then again, it goes back to Sonny Worldwin. When it goes back to Sonny Worldwin, when he got the Jets and Namath, when he told the other AFL owners, you think you're in the football business, but the real business you're in is entertainment. And it took about 20 years, which is why Sam Huff told me Sonny belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for what he did for the AFL and then getting Giant Stadium. And he probably does. But it took 20 years for them to figure out what Sonny told them. And also what Roone Arledge told them back in '69 when they were putting together the Monday night package. It's entertainment. We're taking money from the entertainment division and the sports division for Monday Night Football. And eventually the Hallises are gone, the Rooneys are gone, the old line guys who are gone, who had no vision. And the younger guys like Dan Rooney comes in, and they realize that, it's good to have a great football team, but it's even better to have entertainment. Terry Bradshaw was entertaining when he was a quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it became soap opera with Joe Gilliam over there and Terry Hanratty, and the Cowboys cheerleaders became bigger than the world. So they figured that some of those people figured it out, that it's entertainment. It's not a sport.
And it's $7 million a pop. That's a pretty significant chunk of change. And Fox has been sold out for 2 months.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine the pressure the directors and the writers are under to produce a commercial that people will remember?
They every year there gets less and less of creativity in Super Bowl commercials. The one that's the one that USA Today tracks these things, the Super Bowl commercial that most people are excited about is the reuniting of the Breaking Bad guys. And I don't know what chip company, it's a Frito company, obviously, but I get what they're selling, but
Pop chips.
Breaking Bad.
Well, they've already released it. Like, I've watched it 5 times. It's pop chips, so it's cool, but like I've already seen it on Twitter. So like I don't know, people are going crazy about it. But yeah.
I still think that the all-time commercial is Mean Joe Green and the Kid.
Oh, the Coca-Cola spot.
Coca-Cola. I think that's still the commercial of commercials.
Amedeus, you guys don't get the U.S. commercials, do you?
No, we have our own dumb Canadian ones that are nowhere near as good. And usually I watch it on an American channel, so I try to get the commercials. I know, like, for example, my mom's a big fan of the commercials. She obviously loves football, but that's just another reason to watch the Super Bowl for her, is to see what ideas these people can come up with for the commercial point of it.
Well, I mean, they spend a lot of money. They want some return on investment.
The only ones that aren't under pressure with these commercial writings is Budweiser, though. When you've pumped out. Exactly. When you've pumped out so many good Super Bowl commercials in the past, the pressure kind of just like releases.
Well, I did think that Frito-Lay did a brilliant job of saying, all right, we're going to go out and allow the fans to create their own commercial, and the 5 best, we'll cut them down and we'll figure out which makes the most sense, and then we'll create that commercial. And they did it for a couple of years, and it was quite entertaining. Last year, I think, was the one with Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, where they where it was a Cheetos commercial, and it was done during the COVID times. So they literally were in different parts of the same house doing the same commercial, and they cut it 4 different ways. It makes it look like they're all together, but they're not even close. So clever, but not necessarily the way to go.
I just want to say one thing about the halftime show. The NFL floated a number of years ago a thought that the performer should pay the NFL for the spectacular platform that the NFL is giving them. So NFL's all about cash on the barrelhead.
Well, I mean, they've gotten paid, but what they have gotten is they've gotten sponsors who sponsor the acts that are on during, it's like the Pepsi halftime show and all the different things. And you notice when you're doing it. I mean, we rehearsed for a week for the songs and for everything. We couldn't obviously do it on the football field, but it was how to make it look like a concert when you literally have to get things on and off a football field in 4 minutes to 6 minutes. So you get stages on, stages off, people on, people off. It's that is an amazing thing. We used to practice at high school football stadiums, getting people on and off and getting stages on and off.
Even in Pontiac?
Yeah.
He was at the.
I don't want to go back to Pontiac ever.
He was at Pontiac. What was it, about 3 degrees?
No, it was good. It was about minus. With the air wind chill, it was about -7, -8. Yeah, it was cold. Like I said, I don't want to go back there again. No need to. The dome's getting blown up anyway. So there you go. Well, Evan, thanks for joining us.
We'll talk to you soon, and have fun on Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
Have
for
a good
coming
day.
on.
Bye-bye.
Bye now. And there he goes, Evan Weiner. And Business of Sports. You can find all of his books, and he's got a lot of them, and in the Amazon book store. One's on NFL, NBA. He has a great book that he did on David Stern. So by all means, check it out. Evan will join us from time to time, and actually we're going to have a show with Evan coming up on the network in the not too distant future. And it's interesting to have some historical background on it. So there you go. And Evan's used to speaking for a half an hour to 45 minutes, so we have to get him to cut a little bit clip. But other than that, he's always entertaining. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. Anyway, we've got coming up. Are there any Sean? Let's talk about you. You're going to be gone to start tomorrow. Is that when you start?
I'll
Your journey.
My flight leaves tomorrow. Yeah. So it's gonna be a long day. I don't even know what that, like, Friday is crazy because I have to be, as soon as I land, I got to go to my hotel because I have to be at a conference because my guy Alex Costin's speaking. So it's gonna be interesting.
Well, that's good, and you'll get to see some soccer while you're there.
Yes, I'll see a few games.
You'll see some people, see some stuff. Amedeus and I will, live vicariously through your stories as to what was going on and hold down the fort here. Garrett Ballard's going to be with us tomorrow. Garrett covers the NFL, and he covers the NFC specifically. So he'll have some Philadelphia conversation for us. And Scott Steen, who we know and love from Winners and Winers, will join us on Friday to talk about what to do betting wise, which of course Amedeus you'll have a chance to talk about as well, and we'll try to get you ready to wager on the game with Scotty, who lives exactly 10 minutes from Arrowhead Stadium. So we'll try to keep him out of as much Kansas City garbage as we possibly can, but I can't promise you everything.
Yeah, I'm more into, when it comes to betting the Super Bowl, I'm more into the stuff Sean was talking about anyway, like, length of the national anthem. Is Shakira and J-Lo going to twerk or not? What's the first song of the half? I actually hit the first song when it was the weekend. I think was it the weekend?
Or who scores first?
I think the weekend did it a few years ago, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. I think he was the one I hit. I hit the first song he did because I heard about, I guess, a leak. Somebody heard him practicing the show, right? So they knew their routine. But anyway, yeah, I nailed that one. I mean, there's always the over under on the national anthem. Right. 2 minutes. It's usually around like 2:05. I think it went under last year. Actually, she like ripped right through it. So.
Yeah. She was like on a speed read.
Yeah. And no, I'm actually not joking. There was the one
I know.
Shakira and J-Lo did it. It was to twerk was an option. And
I don't doubt that in the least.
Yeah, and the only reason I didn't bet on it because I was like, if I bet yes at plus 800 here, the books are gonna find a way to screw me. Like, we didn't define what a twerk is. You know what I mean? Like, they'll find a way to screw me out of that bet.
Yeah, you're gonna lose that.
And of course, they both like literally took a section out of the song. They both stopped singing and just to do like a little like 30 or like 10, 20-second twerk segment together on this stage, and I was like, unbelievable.
Who knows? They may have bet on it. I mean, if they bet on it, that it was going to happen.
They're not sports players. They can bet on the halftime show, right?
Right. Yeah. Why not?
But yeah, I know some of the things are just ridiculous that you can bet on some of these props. You have to find the right book, though.
Most, by the way, we were talking about the rehearsal. Most of that is done without the star. The star only comes in for the sound check. They do not come in for anything else. So what you're doing is logistically, how people get on the field and they're, you've got like a crowd on the field and they play to the crowd and all that stuff. Plus you have a different set of risers and things that need to get on and off there. The one that freaked me out, we had a couple of them during the rain that were in the rain. And I was afraid somebody's going to get killed or electrocuted during that. But I did have a sound tech who there was a cord, an audio cord that got broken, and he was replacing it. And he literally was in a rainstorm holding a cord into an electric box, and he didn't get shocked. And we're like, I don't understand how that didn't happen. That was Prince.
That can't be safe.
Prince was playing. So,
you got to see all the good ones when you were doing the halftime show.
Honestly, when you do that stuff and you're watching it on TV the same as everybody else, I'm not in the stadium. I'm in a truck outside the stadium. So I'm seeing it on a screen, probably much smaller than what
you're that guy with the 8 screens in front of you in the truck.
I look like I'm, watching TV at Best Buy.
Turning the knobs and dials as they're performing, making sure everything's good.
All is when it's over, right? It's like, okay, fine, it's over. And you're going to get killed. No, good, fine.
Switch to camera 3. Cut out.
Yeah. So, and then you go back to the game. The game people take over. Your truck is finished. You're done. And so, it's you either sit in the truck and watch the game, or you go home.
I was going to say, do they drive the truck away with you in it? Just, all right, that's it. That's it. We did our part.
We're leaving.
Time to go. No credentials.
Right. You can, you got that you got the pass. You can go and do whatever you want to, but.
Oh, that's good. You can go get yourself a $20 beer and a $15 hot dog and enjoy the game.
Right. If you're lucky. Yeah. Everything's
Actually, I don't know football stadium prices. I assume it would be the same as like a baseball or hockey for food wise.
It is,
Yeah.
and sometimes they even try to make a special hamburger or special something for the two teams.
Oh,
So
okay, that's
they'll
interesting.
they'll come up with some kind of concoction that, and if Green Bay's, it's always there's cheese of some sort. Kansas City, Kansas City, I think is barbecue. So there's a
Oh.
barbecue for Kansas City.
Everybody's got their signature.
Yeah, I have not gotten a clue what they're gonna do, on the AFC side.
Philly
Kansas City
cheesesteaks
barbecue.
and
Philly cheesesteak. That's true.
and
Okay,
then, Kansas City barbecues.
one last quick question for Sean, because I know he wants to pack his clothes so he can get going. Who's got the best cheesesteak in Philadelphia?
It's none of those places you hear Pat's and Geno's, that's for sure.
No, that's
Other
tourist.
places are probably outside the city, to be honest. The place around the corner for me, Gianni's is really good. They have a garlic bread cheesesteak. It's unbelievable.
Sounds unbelievable.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so good. You can't eat it all.
Is the spray cheese or
No, it's garlic bread, regular. I think it's American or whatever, and I don't know. It's spray cheese is okay, but like American fried onions, stuff like that. Get a little hot peppers on it, but yeah, there's some good places. I mean,
You're making me hungry.
yeah, there's a lot of all around the outskirts of Philly. There's a place in Burlington City that's really good. I forget the name of it. It's really random. It's across the bridge from Philly, and you just find these like little places. Like, it's just sometimes you never think like, oh wow, it would be this, this little hole in the wall place.
The best one I ever had was in South Jersey.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was over in Manchester, they're like, oh man, you got to go to this place. It's like this pop-up store. It only opens this time and like blah, blah, blah. And they make the best Philly cheesesteaks. I'm like
In Manchester.
I'm from Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Like,
you know who you're talking to.
You're setting a high bar for me. So, I go and the guy's like, hey, my buddy's like, oh yeah, he's from Philly, and I'm like, it's the same in London, right around the West Ham Stadium. There's a place too that it's like, oh, Philly cheesesteaks. It's got. I'm like, it was good. It was okay. It was pretty good, like for Manchester, but like you got you don't understand. Like the meat is different. The rows in Philly, Amorosos, and the other ones. I mean, the rolls are more important to me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Than the meat, if the roll sucks, the steak, is whatever, and they're like this, we're going to use like Wagyu beef and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, man, like that's not the point, like
you need to be able to see it, almost see through it, paper thin.
They tried to do they opened like a wing stop over there, and it was like, this is, when I went back, I think the first time I went back after COVID, they were like, oh, there's a wing stop. Like, oh man, you got to try this. I'm like, dude, like I'm from like I had this idea 10 years ago, open a wing place over there. I should have done it. But like, I'm like, yeah, no, it sucks. Like, what are you talking about? They actually have a wing place that's really good though. I think like an American went over and like cooks and like there's actual wings, and they have like late night happy hour, and you go and you're like,
they know what they're doing.
It's like a quarter a wing or whatever, 25p a wing. And it is, they're very good. I'm like, wow, like this is good. So like, I don't know, but the place around the corner for me with the garlic bread cheesesteaks is pretty good. But there's a lot of places in Philly that do it, and usually it's just some D'Alessandro's. I know, like, they're very good.
It's funny. I was doing something in Buffalo, and Paul McGuire. I was working with Paul, and I forget who the talent other talent was. We're in a restaurant and he's looking and goes, "Why don't they have buffalo wings?" And Paul looks across the table from him and says, "Here we call them wings." Because it's buffalo. He goes, if you ask the waitress or waiter about wings, he goes, and ask for buffalo wings, I swear to God, I will hit you in the face. It's like, do not embarrass me here. He goes, you want wings? Just ask for wings. We're in Buffalo. So, it's like going to China and say, you want Chinese food? It's just food in China. That's what they have. So there you go. Well, now that we've gotten ourselves hungry and
that's the best. Nothing better than an American going into a place in England to try American food.
Hey, you like the pizza? No, I'm from New Jersey, man. Like, I grew up in New Jersey. No, this is not pizza.
You grabbed the wrong guy for this.
Right. This is falafel bread.
I will say, I've written some articles for it on NEA.com. There was like a food truck there. The one year when I was there in August, they had all these food trucks out in Piccadilly Gardens, and it was like a fish and chips food truck with like salt and pepper, fish and chip, all these like flavor. It was unbelievable. It was so good. Like I always like that stuff, like the fish and chips. Like I'll try. Yeah. But Manchester now is like cultured. Like it's not the way it was like 10, 12 years ago. It's a little more fancy pants now. So there's all these like fancy pants places to eat. So I actually like some of the ramen places and whatever. But yeah, it's a little more cultured than it was a long time ago.
Back in the day.
92% of all cranes in the United Kingdom have been in Manchester for the past 6 years. They're building hotel after hotel after hotel. They can't build them quick enough. It's crazy how quick.
Manchester's not that big.
It's not. It wasn't. The size of the town is doubled. And I'll tell you, I say this story all the time. Back in 2012, my guy Lee, he's kind of like a gangster kind of guy. His wife had a health food store. He hooked her up with that. In like the northern quarter where it was it was still like a little dumpy, like, and he goes, listen, if you have any money, buy the land right outside this in Endcoats. It's going to be worth a fortune. I like my money. He must have done it because, now that's where the hotel I'm staying is like in that area where he was talking about. So.
Well, they did the same thing in D.C. when Abe Pollin decided to build the arena downtown. And it was in Chinatown. And a bunch of the restaurants and people in Chinatown have wanted no part of it. So one guy by the name of Tony Pang bought up everybody who wanted to leave. He said, you want to leave? I'll buy your stuff. Bought it, and now it's known as Tony Pang's neighborhood because he owns all of the land around the what do they call it now? The Capital One Center, the credit card company. So yeah, all around that place, and of course now, Sean, because you've been on a couple times in DC, that they have a Caesar's book right in the arena.
That's right. Yeah, that's
happening now.
That's where they tape the show I go on every day, right from there.
It used to be a Green Turtle pub, and they moved them out and moved in, Caesar's. So there you go.
Yeah, that's the thing these days. One day I'm going to go watch a Leaf game, and I'm going to be able to place a bet right at the kiosk there. It's like, go get your hot dog, get your beer, and then place your bet at the betting kiosk, at the FanDuel kiosk or whatever.
You can do that at National Stadium.
Yeah, I know you can do it at State Farm too. They added they incorporated Caesars into my Cardinals arena now. They made a huge story. It was like, oh, Cardinals are the first arena to put it like an actual Caesars. They're a half and half now. And then I was like, oh, great. Just another reason for us not to win games. It's just a big distraction.
Well, you're in trouble if some of the players are in line in front of you at the betting window.
Yeah, seriously. It's like, I know who I'm betting. The Cardinals are placing bets today. Not betting on themselves. That's for sure.
There you go. So anyway. All right, boys. Any final thoughts before we get out of town here?
Big day for United, taking on a team, Leeds team, coached by Chris Armis, who's from this area. He's
Right.
taking
Love
over.
this place.
The Carlos Corcoran, the West Brom coach, does not want to be the coach. Just signed a new deal with West Brom. He said, I can't be bothered with Leeds. Leeds is probably going to get Bielsa back. But United needs to win this game today, 3-0. I'm going to have to watch it while I'm tutoring, which is always a challenge. But it is
Taking on that brand new Ford-built All-American midfield.
Imagine buying all Americans and then sacking the American coach that built it. Like, they just do us out. They go down and they never come back. To be honest, I can't be bothered with Leeds. Although we've been trouncing them since they've come back. So it's always good to have.
Hey, things happen. What are you gonna do?
That's right.
It's Ted Lasso can't coach everybody. So there's that. All right, guys. Well, tomorrow our guest will be Garrett Ballard. Garrett is an outstanding young writer and just recently graduated from the University of Florida, but has been covering in the NFC, and he'll clue us in on the Eagles and some other stuff. So we'll see you all tomorrow, and then we'll have guests on Friday as well. And Sean will be airborne and headed to over to Europe, and hopefully we'll catch up with him either at the end of this week or next week. Depends on his schedule and how things work out. But we wish him safe travels. You're going tomorrow morning, afternoon?
I'm going in tomorrow afternoon. I leave start my travel. So take the train up and land in London, I think 9 a.m.
So you're flying overnight?
Yeah, flying overnight. See if I get any sleep. It's always a challenge.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, look, we will, Amedeus and I will be holding down the fort, and our intrepid reporter will be visiting us from time to time from parts unknown at the moment. But hey, where there's Wi-Fi, there's Sean. So that's all we need to see. So anyway, all right, guys, have a good day, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, 9 a.m.